Yes, I will. Even though my link for the executive session didn't come out twice, Mr. Liguri, I do have this link. All right, Howard is coming here. And then Mr. Harry, as usual, late to the game. All right. Mr. Lou, if you could unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, I got it.
Hi, Howard.
How's it going?
You got your shirt on?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. We did a picture without you. Hope you don't get upset.
No worries. I would, but I haven't got a chance to go home. I just got back from. Anyways, talk to you about it later.
Okay, sorry. No problem. So, where did I go with my? I lost the agenda. Sorry, folks. 1 second. Here we go. One more time. And this is the one from Shelley, final corrected. I'm opening it up, folks, and then we could get started. I will share my screen. Share. Does everybody see the agenda in front of you? No. All right, stop sharing. Let's try it again. Share screen. There we go. This should do it. How's that, folks?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Dr. Zoom. I'm going to change this into a one-page deal. So there we go. So we needed to just get started. Madam President?
Yep, don't have a gavel, but I'll.
Bang on, yeah. Bang loudly.
You all set?
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome. Regular Zoom meeting and public hearing on bond refinance on May 27, 2020. Please rise.
Madam President, I'll lead the way with a picture of flag. I pledge allegiance
To
the flag
United States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. Mr. Brockman.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Mr. Duran Harris.
Here.
Ms. Keefe.
Here.
Mr. Liguri.
Here.
Mr. Liu.
Here.
Ms. Rubin.
Here.
Ms. Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez.
She said here. Can
Oh,
you
I'm
hear?
sorry, I couldn't hear. We have a quorum.
All right. Miss Gonzalez, you're up.
If they can't hear me,
Yeah, just try to see if they can hear you.
can you hear me now?
No one can hear you. Let me make sure
It's
you're not.
very low.
All right. Let me see here. Make sure you're not muted.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on. Let's see.
Had a series of technical difficulties, people. So please bear with us. Can you hear me?
She's not on.
She is on. It's just a. Hold on. I'm gonna. Folks, just bear with us. Now you got it.
Sorry, guys, not using my computer today.
Yeah, that's fine.
Technical difficulties all around.
Here's the problem. You being in there, I'm gonna get feedback over here. All right, thanks, Mike.
Do you want me to move to? Okay.
Go ahead, I'm just gonna. Okay. All right, Madam President, go ahead.
Thank you. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, the public notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location, was distributed by 3 p.m. on Wednesday, May 13, 2020, in the following manner. Posted on the bulletin board reserved for announcements in the board office, Old Georges Road, North Brunswick, mailed to the Home News Tribune, Sentinel, and the clerk of the Township of North Brunswick, and delivered to the 9 duly elected board members.
Okay, Madam President, I just muted.
You can't unmute while I'm talking.
Dr. Z, you're muted.
I got it. I'm muted. I got it. Okay, folks, we have a motion. We need to have a public hearing on the bond refinance. Hold on 1 second. All right. Is that better for everyone? No. Okay, so number 6, over the last couple of weeks, we have been able to secure refinancing on our bond. And from pages 6 through page 10 are the particulars, the legalese of the bond refinance. And now we're opening the meeting. We're going to need a motion. I mean, not a motion. We're going to have a public hearing on anyone who has any questions regarding the refinancing of our bonds that were last refinanced 2012 for projects well before this current board was on. But we have a legal obligation if we could secure better funding for the bonds that we have for the public. And this was from the first expansion of North Brunswick Township High School. We had issued refinancing, and we need to give the public an opportunity to hear any, give them an opportunity to say make any comments or ask any questions about the bond refinancing. So from pages number 6 on page 2 all the way to page 10. Seeing no questions, no one raising hands, we need a motion to close the public portion of this bond hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ligori first and seconded by
Colleen.
Colleen. Okay, unmute yourself, board members. La Rosa, you got to go. Roll call,
Yep.
please.
Ready? Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Ligori,
Yes.
Mr. Liu,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
The public session is closed.
Okay, we do need to motion on page 3, the first section of the bonds, because that public portion is closed. And now we have to accept the resolution of refinancing the bonds in 2 separate resolutions as listed. So we need section 8 on page 3, the bond ordinance shall take effect immediately after final adoption. So we need a roll call and a motion to approve. I'm sorry.
It's on page
Number
1.
6, page 1. Yep, number 6. We need to have someone make a motion and read that for us just on.
Brian, you're doing those all together, right?
Well, there's 2 separate motions, Jonathan, that we have to have done. One on page 3 and one on page 10.
Correct.
But if you want, you can do them as one vote. As long as
Okay.
it's a roll call vote, you can do them all as one. It's up to you. I mean, you can, they're really the same action overall. But it's up to you.
Right.
Then Mr. Attorney, thank you, Mr. Bush. I think I would make the recommendation we do it all in one vote on page.
I agree.
Yep.
So we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
That was Tracy, I believe, and Mr. Duran Harris.
Thank you.
All right, here, I'll do the roll call then. Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Legori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
The bond refinancing, both motions will pass.
Madam President, we are on page 11.
Yes, sir. Do we have any communications you'd like to share with us tonight?
We need a motion to approve the minutes on number 8, Madam President.
I apologize.
Nope, that's okay.
I got it.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the following board minutes: the Zoom video conference meeting, April 22nd, 2020, and the Zoom video regular public meeting, April 29th, 2020.
Second.
Second.
That was Ms. Keefe. Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Legori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes. All the minutes are accepted.
Number 9.
Any communications this evening?
Not at this time, Madam President. I'll include anything under my administrative report.
Which is the next stop down.
Yes, that's the next stop here. So good evening, North Brunswick. Good evening, board members and the public who may be on. We have a few items. I have a few items to discuss with the public. Hopefully, many of you know that each morning I'm able to join the mayor, Ms. Guadagnino, and Mr. Cafferty to give update on the school portion of this unprecedented virus, isolation, pandemic, quarantine. So what I've been giving is really the school side of the events happening and impacting North Brunswick residents and families. So some of the things I want to update is the end of school. The date has been changed on the calendar. June 17th will be the last school day. And graduation of the high school, the virtual graduation will be 6 p.m. that evening on June 17th, the last school day for everyone. More to come on high school graduation in a minute. On June 16th, that's a Tuesday, the day before, we will have our virtual promotion ceremony for Linwood. And that will be at 7 p.m. on June 16th. That's Tuesday, June 16th, the Linwood Middle School 8th grade promotion. So you've been hearing reading in the paper, you've been hearing the announcements that Governor Murphy, although said we must have virtual graduation, and we've been planning for weeks now and we're going to have our virtual graduation. But just the other day, he said, you can, starting July 6th, have an in-person graduation. He did say by today or tomorrow, he'll have those regulations, what that really means in person. What are the restrictions? And then we're going to do everything we can to have a in-person graduation as per the regulations, as per the restrictions led by our governor. Please know that we will be consulting Mr. Bush because we'll be consulting our insurance company. We must understand very clearly after Wednesday, June 17th, our seniors are no longer seniors. So we have to make sure they're no longer our students. What does that mean in terms of insurance, in terms of their diplomas, the process, having an insurance rider, who's sponsoring it, and so on? We will do something. We just have to work out the details. More to come on that. I wanted the public to know that.
And Dr. Z, if I could just chime in, I'm hearing from.
This is my report, Madam President. Can I continue to have those minutes after Mr. Bush gets done? I don't want to lose my minute. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bush.
I'll yield the rest of my time to Dr. Z. As soon as I've told the board this. I spoke to somebody at the commissioner's office today. Apparently, there's a draft that's being kicked around of the guidance, which is crucial, right? It's one thing to say that graduation is happening after July 6th. It's another thing altogether to talk about exactly how it's going to happen, as it's unprecedented. But the guidance was supposed to be issued by today. It may still be issued by today, but it clearly wasn't issued by the close of business. And at the latest, I'm hearing that it'll be by tomorrow. And my office will be putting together guidance. I'll be sending it to all of you like we do on some of these hot topics as soon as this is done. So I just want to let you know that we're on it, just like Dr. Z said. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bush. So one thing I want to talk about to the public, they see the board members and Ms. Hawk, and although Mr. Patella did support the cause and our other cabinet members are on, we are in our North Brunswick strong. We want to thank our volunteers who organized this, our teachers, Ms. Wright, and so many other teachers that were involved in this, Ms. Marcy Marks, and I'm forgetting one other teacher, but it'll come to me. And they did a great job. Every nickel raised from the selling of these shirts, and nearly $10,000 was donated to the food bank here in North Brunswick. So we're very proud to support the local food bank, the local pantry. It's open on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 12. And it just came to me through a text. Thank you. Names to someone to be named later. Missy Panaro. Miss Panaro was involved with Miss Wright, Miss Marks, and they organized it and raised the $10,000 for the food pantry in North Brunswick. So thank you so much. And that's why we're wearing as a board. Miss Wright asked us to get a picture before we started the meeting so we could be part of the website as a commercial. So we want to make sure that everyone gets to see that, how wonderful our district is, our staff members, to lead this effort for such a valuable resource as the food pantry in North Brunswick. Also, I wanted to share with the public, the building has been turned over to the school district. We have a temporary certificate of occupancy known as a TCO. We're working towards a certificate of occupancy. What's the difference? Temporary, meaning that we can be there, it is ours. And now we'll work with the contractor to do the little punch list items. We still need to get furniture in there and some other issues. The board operation committee on Memorial Day, and I thank them for coming out on Memorial Day, did a tour. We have other board members are open to do a tour as we go along. We have one tomorrow with a board member or two, getting to see the board, getting the full tour of the finished product or nearly finished product. We exceeded our goals for the budget, meaning we were on time and on budget, and we're very happy about that. The school is beautiful, but it is a township school, and this board and the superintendent and entire school, our school organization, is happy to deliver it to the community and the children of North Brunswick. So more to come on that. Hopefully when this coronavirus gets lifted. We had initial date of a ribbon cutting on June 23rd. That will not happen because we can only have so many people there. You know, right now the restrictions of social distancing, but we will have a grand opening, a ribbon cutting whenever it's legal and the restrictions for those type of things are lifted. So thank you again for all the hard work, for all our professionals, for the Board of Education, for our administrators, working with our architect, our construction management, and our general contractor, getting this building ready to go. It was scheduled this way, so who knew there was going to be a pandemic, but thankfully we didn't schedule a finish August 30th because, you know, with the pandemic, furniture deliveries were held back and certain finishes had to be done slowly because of the lack of the ability to social distance and do certain projects. So we're on schedule, a little bit slower, but ultimately the township issued us a TCO, which is a temporary certificate of occupancy. So we're right on schedule for that. With that, Madam President, I do want to say that our high school and middle school are working hard. The locker clean out schedules are moving. Linwood is ready to go. Parents are going to be ready to pick up their belongings. All 6th, 7th, 8th grade parents. The work of our security and our aides, bagging and tagging, all that, all the supplies and materials of students, over 1,400 students. We are ready on a schedule to have that. It's being sent out. I think Mr. Slover did send it out already. Our high school seniors have been bagged and tagged their supplies. So they've been picking things up. The reason why we're doing in that order, the contractors for phase 2 of this project to do renovations on the Linwood School will continue. We'll start actually June 1st. There was some minor work being done where we could socially be distant. Now, June 1st, it'll be turned over to a different contractor that built the school to do the renovations as part of the project. As you know, Governor Murphy said school construction was permissible as long as there were certain guidelines, and we make sure that those guidelines are adhered to. And so June 1st is Monday coming. Can you believe it, folks? June 1st is this Monday, and our Linwood Middle School will start the renovation project on that. And speaking of June 1st will mark we have that beginning of the last 13 days of school. So tomorrow is the 15th day of school remaining, and Friday will be the 14th day. So it's amazing and how quick this went, but truly resilient staff and students and families. So thank you, North Brunswick. Thank you to our staff. Thank you to our families, because we stopped on a dime. We were one of the first districts to stop and go to remote learning. We've had some bumps and barriers in the way. We're getting better. And so we're prepared to working on to accept the challenge of reopening our schools, whenever that may be. We don't know. We'll see what that means to public schools in New Jersey. It means something different to many different places throughout our country as we all experience this virus differently. We're experiencing it differently because we're in the epicenter. We're very closely, we're congested. We're closely linked to New York. And so we'll work through it differently than other states. But as we are given guidelines, North Brunswick will be ready to reopen as guided through the State Department of Education and the Governor's Office. With that, Madam President, thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any committee reports this evening?
None at this time.
Yes, Madam President. The Personnel Committee met last week, I want to say. I can't remember exactly the date. I think it was Tuesday. We discussed resignations and retirements. We discussed the rehiring process. We also had time to speak on the presentation for Educator of the Year, which is very exciting, as well as minimum wage increases, emergency sick leave under the FFCRA, which is the Families First Act that comes out of the coronavirus pandemic. And then, of course, we discussed other personnel issues.
Madam, Ms. Chair, Ms. Rubin, if you don't mind, you were right. If you don't mind, if I brag a little bit about you, because we moved your personnel, you're the chair of the personnel, to Tuesday, May 19th, correct?
Yes.
And because something happened on Wednesday, June 20th, and not just our great ceremony honoring our Teachers of the Year, you knew about it. You weren't able to be there because you were given special dispensation to miss because you were doing something else. I believe, can I make the announcement? You were receiving your master's degree from Rutgers University. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You are a board member and an alum, and we're very proud that as the alum, you have your master's degree. You work so hard in your business. You're a working professional. You're a board member, and now you went back to advanced degree. Very, very, you should be very, very proud. I know your family is. I know the board is. So
thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
why you missed. So we gave you only a reason why you missed.
The only time I'll miss is for my graduation.
Okay. Keep it coming.
Now I have no more excuse.
Other committee reports. Sorry to digress.
No worries. Any other committee reports?
Yeah, Madam President, the Curriculum Committee met on May 13th. Just briefly, we talked about some of the North Brunswick Township Middle School curriculum updates, which includes FLEX, which is Foreign Language Exploratory Program, including also talked about additional life skills, and talked about Bootstrap Data Science, a new part of the program for the new AMP-Ed. More to come on that later. We also talked about some distant digital learning update, which included lesson delivery, such as Google Hangout lessons, which are being expanded. Went over some of the staff feedback in response to how all the staff is handling the new way of teaching remotely right now. Looked over some of the results of that survey from the staff. And we talked about some of the virtual field trips that have gone on and are planning to go on. That's it. Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Liu, just want to know that I want to thank Mr. Salover, if you remember, and Dr. Ellis joined us, went through that in the evening for us. And, the flex plan is something the board has been pushing for in our strategic planning about exploratory languages. Dr. Kane Ellis looked at many programs, and we are looking to give our middle schoolers and really a chance to get a breadth as well as depth of learning in the foreign languages, not just one track. So we've designed this program. Dr. Ellis has worked hard to design it and was discussed fully and she joined us at the curriculum committee, as did Mr. Salover. So thank you for your report.
Okay.
Madam President, I can provide an update with business operations.
Mr. Liguori, go ahead.
The Business Operations Committee met on Wednesday, May 6th, and among the items discussed was an update on the new middle school. We were joined by Mr. Campizano, and quite honestly, because this meeting was 3 weeks ago, a lot of this is going to seem like old information, but Mr. Campizano and Dr. Z met with some officials from the township to observe the testing of equipment and subsystems, and we were told what we needed to do to obtain the temporary CO, and we're proud to report that late last week before the holiday weekend, we did get the TCO, as Dr. Z indicated. The landscaping is proceeding. 2 of the 3 landscapers were coming the week prior to the holiday. The paving has been completed. We had a committee discussion about some signage that could potentially go in the front of the building. More to come on that as we get a little bit more detailed with that discussion. And then we discussed the phase 1 Linwood update, and we indicated that we can move a bit earlier on that construction since the in-person schooling is canceled for the rest of the school year. So that will be occurring very soon, as Dr. Zakowski indicated as well. We received an update on solar from Mr. Carroll. On May 19th and 22nd, we were going to install solar interfaces, and the schools were going to be powered down 2 per day each on the 19th and 22nd. Linwood still to come. We discussed that the Township Fire Marshal was ready for annual inspections, and it could take up to 7 days to complete those. The mercury testing, the sampling has been completed and it's out for testing. We had a brief discussion about the budget update, a little bit of discussion on federal funding, which we're all still waiting to hear about if there's going to be any additional federal funding, as the CARES money is only for additional items such as reentry and it doesn't supplant the ordinary funding. We discussed how the township has approved extending the deadline for the 4th quarter taxes from May 1st to June 1st without penalty. We discussed our transportation routes and the ongoing negotiations, how we're forming a consortium to negotiate the margins for non-use for things such as gas use and wear and tear. Those items can be negotiated. We also discussed the difference card being canceled, how it was negotiated out earlier this year. And with our good experience in the district, we felt we can get those same level of benefits without paying a third party going forward. We had a brief conversation on building maintenance for reentry. We know that the building maintenance is only one facet of an overall document that's being worked on by the administrative team. We talked about, boilers, HVAC, filters, all kinds of standard maintenance that's still needed, even though nobody is currently in the buildings. The buildings are currently getting walked through each day in their entirety by the maintenance crews. We talked about how going forward, we'll be purchasing nearly 750 sanitizing dispensers for the classrooms and the offices in the district. We'll also be looking into thermometers, which could utilize minimal contact, and they'll be ordered throughout the district by the school nurses. Our fields are being maintained, but we felt the need to post some signage indicating that they are closed. The township fields are closed, so people are looking for somewhere else to play, and with school not in session, we don't want that liability. And then under the good of the order, we had a brief conversation that Raker Road will be paved this summer. We had discussed this in committee a couple months ago. A decision was made to include bike lanes on both sides of Rader Road as part of this project, so parking will no longer be allowed on Rader Road, which we felt was fine because there is some bandwidth of parking spaces in the older parking lot, if you will, to the right when you go down Rader Road. We said that parking could be allowed during busier times at the discretion of the school district. And we're going to remove those maintenance vehicles that are in the parking lot so that there is more room for student and teacher parking as well. That concludes the report. Thank you.
Madam, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Liguori, I just want to add for the public that we are on June 10th. I'll be sending an invitation to our business operations, which is really our finance and facilities. That's why you folks have been so busy. June 10th, I'm going to present a proposed budget change based upon what we know now. The governor's come out and resubmitted his thoughts and his appropriations to either a delay or a cancellation, de-appropriating some of the lines in the state budget that so for example, North Brunswick got their state aid numbers back in February. We built budgets, we had approvals, we had our budget approved at the county and the state level, we did a public hearing, and now we are facing the unknown, but the governor's office finally released that there's going to be a de-appropriation of monies canceled or delayed, and almost $1.1 billion in education monies will be cut, and including the S2 appropriation and redistribution of those who are underfunded and those who are overfunded. Remember, North Brunswick was underfunded and paid more than a local fair share, so we received nearly $6.5 million extra, and that was applied to the budget appropriately, including $1.6 million in tax relief. We believe, with the governor saying, and we'll know more definitively by June 10th, that we will not be getting that $6.5 million. Now, there may be federal relief, and that's the unknown, that may supplement the loss of state aid. But to what extent? And so I just want the board to know and the public to know we're working behind the scenes, and we will present to the committee a proposed budget based on what we have to that point, which could be a reduction of $6.5 million in state aid. So just to keep everyone informed, and that committee then will make it public as the right time when we get the exact information. But we can't wait till the exact information comes out, because it's not enough time to turn it around. That's a lot of money to be taken back from the school district, and money in budgets mean labor. So, as you know, the district is, and any school district is labor intensive. So we have to vet a lot of programming and a lot of what we felt our adequacy money that was coming to us as promised. No one anticipated this. Based on the formula, based on our lobby, and based on our working to get this done, this district was in line to help our taxpayers and help our school district. Unfortunately, we're going to have to look at it differently and proceed accordingly. But we'll be ready. We'll make sure by June 10th we have something to give to the Finance Committee to vet what we've been thinking, to examine our thinking, examine our direction, and then get back to the full board. Thank you, Mr. Liguori.
Thank you, Dr. Sikowski. I'm going to assume we don't have student reports today.
No student reports are not on tonight. I do want to say, though, Ms. Gonzalez, that our students have been appearing on the TV broadcast. One of our student reps, as you know, Amanda Collado, one of our outstanding, and Miss Hawk, our first name of our outstanding second in command for our student reps. Why am I forgetting her name? Naomi, thank you. Naomi and Amanda are to continue to do excellent work behind the scenes and getting ready for college. And we had Amanda on Channel 15 and highlighting all the great work she's doing, the senior class is doing, and her representation of the board. But we do not have them on tonight.
Madam President, I have a student services report.
Oh, sorry, Mr.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Rockman. Go ahead.
No problem. The Student Services Committee met on 5/6. So again, like the business operations, some of these have passed. On 5/22, the district had to give the state closure plan for the schools, and also Along with that, there was some direction that ESY programs will go on during this summer. Plans are in the works with Mr. Harry and his gang to, change the plans. Obviously, it's not going to be like a typical ESY school year, so they're making some adjustments to their plans, and those should be coming out soon. There was a distance learning survey that closed yesterday, so unfortunately, we're out of time on that one. We did, one of the things that came up in that committee and was some work that Mary Ellen Engel and her staff is doing with, the nurses and the different nurses from around the district to make sure families in need are getting services that they need, whether they be food services or health services or even in education about COVID and what the symptoms are. And if there is somebody in the house, what they should be doing as far as, if they only have one bathroom, what their options are. And if they have, how they should be quarantining for people who don't know. They put up a whole website or a section of the website for us, for people, for questions and answers, which I thought was very impressive. It showed a lot of hard work. And that was pretty much the gist of what we did in student services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brockman. Any other reports tonight? Ms. Keefe, would you take item 11?
Yes, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to approve the administrative and committee reports.
Second.
Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Liguori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes,
The reports are accepted.
thank you. At this time, we have a public session on agenda items only. If any members of the public have any questions or statements, we ask that they introduce themselves and speak for up to 3 minutes in order to give everybody an opportunity to speak who wishes to do so.
Madam President, I took down the agenda just for a minute to see, to manage the folks online, to see if anybody's raising their hands. If somebody would either raise their hand, an electronic hand, I can't see everyone. And there's also the ability to not only raise your electronic hand, hit the chat if you want to ask a question, because we have more than 25 people on. I'll give it a couple minutes.
A couple minutes, yeah.
Yep. Madam President, I do not see any hands or questions regarding the agenda items for the public session.
Okay.
So go back to the agenda. Here we go.
Yep.
13.
Gotcha. Mr. Duran Harris, you want to take number 13, please?
Yes, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
You have a roll call, please? Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Who's the second?
Mr. Brooks.
Mr.
Thank
Brooks?
you.
Thank you,
Got
sir.
it. Ready, Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Liguori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
The public portion is closed.
Okay. We have item number 14.
Someone, who do you want? Who would like to take that motion?
Ms. Rubin, can you take item number 14?
Yes, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following consent agenda items: personnel items 1 and 2, curriculum items 1 and 2, finance items 1 through 4, policy and transportation as listed.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes, with the exception of transportation 1A due to a personal connection.
Mr. Liguori,
Yes.
Mr. Liu,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes, with the exception of item transportation 1A as it pertains to my family.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam President, let me take you to the end here. Sorry.
Personnel.
Yeah, hold on. No.
Oh, sorry.
No, here we go. I'm trying to, it's very sensitive. We got to do number 15 now. This is on any matter. You can see where I highlighted. So we go to public session on any matter. The first public session was just matters of the, before we went to consent agenda. So now it's on any matter. Madam President.
I'm sorry, on what page is this?
Page 25.
25.
All right, Mr. Liguori, would you take the policy?
No. Madam President, number 15. We're highlighted.
Say that again?
On your
Oh,
screen,
okay.
number 15.
I'm sorry, you said page 25. That's what I'm seeing on my page 25. It's different. Oh, no, it's not. I apologize.
That's okay.
All right. So at this time, we'd have an open public session on any matter. We ask that if you are interested in asking a question or making a statement before the board, that you limit your statement to 3 minutes.
And again, I closed the agenda, just the screen for the agenda so I can look. It's many participants, and please raise your electronic hand, hit the chat. I'm looking at checkerboard square here with all your little pictures. So it's, I'm just making sure we are on channel 15. And I do not see any, Madam President. So.
May I have a motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Here.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Liguori,
Yes.
Mr. Liu,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
The public portion is closed.
Thank you.
All right.
And now may I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have to read the motion or not?
I'll be happy to read it.
Yeah, you should read it.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presented exist, now therefore be it resolved by the North Brunswick Township Board of Education that the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action I apologize. I don't have the next page.
Would you like me to pick it up, Madam President?
Please, thank you.
The public will be excluded from discussion of an action upon the here and after specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows: legal matters regarding the school board vacancy. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such a time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Thank you, sir.
And the first motion was made by Mr. Brockman
Yes.
and seconded by Ms. Rubin.
Yes.
Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Legori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
We can go into closed session.
Yeah, so, board
for nomination. Thank you. All right, folks, as discussed with Jonathan,
We need to come into open session first.
Need a
we're
motion?
back in open.
So we need a
I'd like to make
motion.
To go into open session.
Second.
Thanks, Thanks, Colleen. And second, I'm sorry,
Dave Brockman?
super. Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Legori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
All right, we're in open session again.
All right. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for the open, unexpired position on our board.
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Haley Toth for the open vacancy.
Okay, sir? Any other nominations?
Okay, I will take a vote. Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. Legori,
Yes.
Mr. Lou,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Toth is our new board member. Unanimous.
Thank you, board members. Just as a point of next steps, I think we can advertise and put something together. We'll have to advertise so we can have a swearing in of Ms. Toth. I don't know if you want to wait to the end of June. It seems it's a short turnaround with this unexpired term. So I think the quicker you would want to swear Ms. Toth in, the better. So Rosa, you have your hand raised.
Yes, Jonathan Bush recommended that we set up a date to have her sworn in.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, but I don't believe we need to do a public or advertise it. We'll work with him on the details of.
Oh, I respectfully decline. I respectfully disagree with our astute attorney, as you would want I would imagine all 9 board members would want to be there for the swearing in.
Okay,
Well, you could advertise with 10 days notice and then we could do a Zoom meeting, right? And 10,
You could do 48
You could-
hours.
yeah,
48
we could
hours,
do it in
even
our,
better.
yeah, Jonathan suggested many places that he could do the swearing in, I could do the swearing in. He gave us a lot of suggestions, yes.
Yes, what we could do is when the council swore in Ms. Cortez, why we have an opening,
Yeah,
they did it socially distant at the township building,
okay,
and they filmed it and people zoomed in.
got it.
So I could have it set up that way where we could have, we have TV capacity in our boardroom,
Yes,
and we can invite the new board member that you just approved,
yes,
sworn in, and broadcast it. I think it's a great thing. We have to honor I don't agree with Mr. Bush is that we just
I may have
do it.
misinterpreted.
I think, I don't think he would want us to do in isolation. I would want to advertise it so all 9 board members and the public could be there.
Got it.
We can't have cake. We can't
No.
do our normal
We can have
celebration.
virtual
I'll
cake.
order cake to my house. It's fine.
So Ms. Gonzalez is our president. If you want me to set the date, or you want to set the date, or you want to build consensus, we just need 48 hours to advertise it.
Yep, we can get on it tomorrow.
Would you want to keep it the Wednesday theme and next Wednesday?
Yep.
Is that okay we're publicly discussing this and that's what we're supposed to do. We're in the public. Is Wednesday 7:00 okay for everyone?
Sure.
Yeah, that works.
Should be quick, right? It's like
Yes.
It
Yep.
should just be the swearing in.
Just
Yeah.
a swearing in.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking all of you to give us the 48-hour notice, we could get it in the paper. We could call Ms. Toth, and also we'd have to call both candidates, but you publicly just appointed one. So I think that if that's okay with the president and the rest of the board, I will make sure we get that done.
Yes, please.
All right. Okay, Ms. Sock, are you taking that down?
I've got it. I'm already starting on it.
And you know, we got to tell the mayor of McCutcheon, we do it a little different around here. Yeah, I think he might have been misinterpreted.
I'm pretty sure.
I think he would want that to be a public. I imagine the board would want that to be a public for our new.
No, it wasn't clear to me. I'm sure I missed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just ask, I know several of you have personal relationships with Haley and with Donna. Let's allow Rosa as our business administrator to notify them of the results. And then we can follow up with calls as necessary.
I suggest, Ms. Hawk, that it's we're being broadcasted live.
Yes.
So this is going to be public information. I would say you get that as soon as possible, with possibly at the call tonight, if you don't mind.
Yes, I'm.
It's late, but they just got off an interview, so I imagine they're still.
I'm sure there's still. Yes, I will get that done this evening. Yes.
Because it is going to be broadcast on Channel 15. It's going to be broadcast.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Hawk.
Yep, we'll do it off. So we need a motion then to adjourn, correct?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr.
Very
Brown.
loud, Colleen. Very nice with your Duke background. I like the Duke background.
We planned that, you know?
Yeah, no, good collaboration. I like that.
Mr. Brockman,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Duran Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Keefe,
Yes.
Mr. LaGuarre,
Yes.
and Mr. Lowe,
Yes.
Ms. Rubin,
Yes.
and Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
And the meeting is adjourned at 9:41.
Thank you, board
you.
members.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr.
All right.
Toro, Michael's on there. He's been facilitating this, our
Yes.
broadcast. I want to thank Mr. Toro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Everyone
Thanks,
have
Mike.
everyone have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll
Bye.
set up. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.